Yay, Kate.
Thanks, Teresa. Zach's speech was excellent. He seemed comfortable. He engaged the audience with some super juicy content that was also well structured. My comments are not in the shape of a normal distribution. I have 2 comments on structure, 1 comment on language, and 3 thoughts on where he could improve. Regarding structure, I'll start at the end. I really liked the rhetorical device Zach concluded with. He brought us back down to the virtual room here that we share. After being pretty far out in theoretical space, Zach brought us back down to our relationship as speaker and audience members by concluding that nothing Zach just said actually matters to the audience. It was very of a piece thematically with the content of skepticism and our inability to predict or really know anything. So using that device, he kind of even drove home the ultimate message he was trying to deliver, which was very creative. That conclusion was also a nice use of parallelism. Zach started the speech by referencing himself as a kid that was always a skeptic. So concluding by bringing it back to himself was consistent and kind of felt like a narrative brace. Lastly, Zach did a nice job using enumeration to help signpost how the number of new concepts he introduced to us as he moved through some pretty dense material, so that was helpful. Regarding imagery and language, Zach used some awesome metaphors that were very down to earth, which helped describe some pretty technical, sophisticated theories. My favorite was in transitioning from describing our faith and religion to describing how we perceive scientific or scientific experts. He used the term carved in stone to describe how we view the comments from experts, which is a mode of transmission of knowledge. Like carving something in stone would have been something they would have done during, Abrahamic times. So to use that to describe our faith in science was a really good job of drawing that connection between faith and religion. So great imagery. As for improvements, Zach asked me to look out for vocal variety. I think he has a little bit of room to improve. He has a great baritone late night radio host kind of voice, so it's super staid, grounding, easy to listen to, but that strength is also a bit of a weakness. It doesn't have a lot of variation in energy or pitch or volume. He talks about some pretty rarefied content that is kind of exciting, and I think he clearly cares about that, so there's some room to get excited and turn up the volume a little bit. Zach did a nice job connecting to the audience despite this digital interface. I think it's clear that this material interests him, as I've said. So I guess one thing I was left wanting more of was a better understanding of why it interests him. I think Black Swan events are interesting to all of us right now. We're in a global pandemic that was predicted, but also maybe wasn't. So I guess, and we're suckers for stories. This was a pretty impersonal set of concepts he went through, so it would have been a nice way of engaging the audience to kind of bring it back to himself and tell us a little bit more of a story about why he was born a skeptic. And then lastly, I didn't find Zach's crutch words very distracting. There really were very few of them, but he did ask me to look out for them, and I did note that he started the speech with the word "so," which I think constitutes a crutch word. And I caught 3 unnecessary ands at the beginning of classes, so those classes might have packed a bit more punch if they started cleanly. But overall, I loved Zach's speech. Content was educational. I have never thought about the abuse of the quote-unquote normal distribution, so I'm going to spend the rest of the night Googling Gaussian overuse. So thanks for educating us on Black Swans, Zach.
Thank you, Kate. Awesome.